Hey guys, it's me, Michelle McGowan from Podiatry Unfiltered and from the Independent Podiatrist Network. This is a little bit of a special podcast. It's more of a webinar that we did here in April 2026, and it is about how to implement extracorporeal shockwave therapy into your office as a podiatrist. We go over the most common types of what podiatry consider extracorporeal shockwave therapy, and I try to break it down simply so you understand the device you're getting. I did keep the beginning part of this podcast, just kind of the beginning awkwardness a little bit, because I wanted to spotlight that if you are not a member of the Independent Podiatrist Network group on Facebook, I really encourage you to join. This group is a lot of collaboration, and one of the first podiatrists that I spoke with, she joined into the podcast, and I knew exactly who she was. She popped on, and she's somebody I actually, through the group, reached out to her because one of my daughter's friends sprained their ankle, and she's in Tuscaloosa. And it's just kind of, I want to spotlight how that group is really kind of special. It's really more friendly if you just even hear while we talk, how we talk to each other. But I hope you enjoy. If you're interested in implementing extracorporeal shockwave therapy or soft wave therapy into your practice, let me know. You can email me at anklefootcare@gmail.com. And I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Podiatry Unfiltered. This is the podcast where we skip the sugarcoating and talk honestly about what it takes to survive and thrive as an independent podiatrist today. Rosemary, can you hear
Hi.
me?
Can you hear? Yes, sorry, I'm trying to set up.
No, you're good. But
Just making sure it's working.
you're my Alabama.
Yes,
Right?
roll tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Yeah, no, thank you so much for helping my daughter's friend. That was
Oh,
awesome. I
hey,
totally appreciate it.
thanks for thinking of me
Oh, hopefully your insurance
again.
was good. Like sometimes when people say, hey, can you see somebody, their insurance sucks or they have no insurance and they don't want to pay you. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. So I'll mute you again. Not that I don't want to hear from you, but we're going to do question and answers at the end.
Sure.
Do you have a shockwave in your practice right now?
No, so that's why I'm here.
Awesome. I'm going to mute you. All right. And then let's see. These people are in. I think we have a couple more people joining. Very nice. These are people from our Independent Podiatrist Network. Everybody, we're just going to give it a couple minutes to let everybody in. But as people are entering, oh, the Bunyan King's here. Nice to see you, Bunyan King. I'm assuming all these people can hear me. Everybody that's joining, thank you for joining. We are just giving it a couple minutes. It's just 8 o'clock now and people are piling in, which is really nice to see. We're going to try and go through this presentation in a nice, orderly, timely fashion. I don't want to waste anybody's time for sure. I'm appreciating you guys just jumping on. If any of you have soft wave or have shock wave in your practice and you want to give us your opinions at the end, that's fine. And if anybody else has different, I'm going to share my treatment protocols. So if anybody has different treatment protocols than mine that are working for you, please feel free to share at the end and we'll go from there. Maybe give it one more minute and then we'll start. I don't want to waste these guys. These guys are these are the good ones.
Right,
they're here. They're ready. They're engaged.
You've got the Bunyan King, like you said.
He's the coolest. He can't say anything, but I have him muted. I can't believe I have the Bunyan King muted. Very cool guy. I love his content. If anybody on this list right now is not following the Bunyan King on every single platform, you're missing out.
Good stuff.
Great content. He's like a true leader in podiatry. I really enjoy his stuff and he's good. He's a good one. He's a real one. Yeah. I'm bad with awkward silence, guys. I want to start and I know we should probably just wait a couple of seconds longer. I'll tell you, there's a couple people. I'll tell you this first, Rosemary, I already gave her a shout out. She's outside the University of Alabama, podiatrist there. And she helped one of my daughter's friends who twisted her ankle doing something suspicious, something nefarious.
Sure
and I think it was after midnight. So I didn't want the details. I didn't want my daughter was with her or anything because I don't want to know about that. She's 21. She can do whatever. As people are coming in here, I'm a very impatient woman. I'll give it one more minute, Liz.
I know.
And here, I think I'm going to start because I don't want to waste anybody's time who was nice enough to hop on in time. I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Michelle McGowan. I'm a podiatrist in Central Florida, and I have a podcast, Podiatry Unfiltered. So some of you guys may know me from that. And then I have a great Facebook page where we have over 300 podiatrists who nobody can be anonymous and people share and collaborate. So if you're not a part of our Independent Podiatrist Network Facebook group, highly recommend joining it. It's very friendly and it is very collaborative. With me, and I didn't put their name, this is a little bit of an auto-generated slide, so I did not mean to make Liz and Tim's name smaller.
She did.
But joining me is Dr. Tim Henney, who is also my partner at the Center for Franklin Foot Care in Central Florida. And we're also married to each other. So he's like a partner in multiple ways. And then I'm very happy to have Liz Keener, who is from Shockwave and is a product specialist for them. She's been working for them for several years. But when we decided to make the move and buy a extracorporeal shockwave therapy and then did a deeper dive, Liz was very helpful in us just even implementing and incorporating it. So I'm going to get started. It's about 8:06. If you just joining, buckle up. Here we go. So we're going to talk about shockwave therapy, and how I have this kind of platformed out is I'm going to go through the slides. I want to try and keep it under a half hour so that we can go over questions and I'm not taking up too much of your time. But we're going to unpack shockwave therapy. And this is what I think every podiatrist should know. And I want to talk a little bit about why we chose Shockwave TRT. So we're going to cover some information, some things a little bit more superficial than others, but we're going to cover what is extracorporeal shockwave therapy. We're going to go over the 3 types of what people consider extracorporeal shockwave therapy in podiatry. And I'm going to try to explain it simply because I'm not a physicist, I'm a podiatrist, but I want to go over what those types are and what led us to choosing the more broad focused extracorporeal shockwave therapy. We will go over the cellular effects and what's happening. I cheated on that slide and I added a video because I had a slide first that I think Claude helped me make, and everything was so scrunched up and it was a table and it was terrible. So I used a video. I thought it helped a lot more. We're going to go over the physics of why that Shockwave is broad therapy, why you're getting the waves that are coming down, and it has to do with the physics of the actual parabolic head. We're going to talk in depth about why we choose Shockwave therapy. We will go over our treatment protocols that over the last year we've really dialed in. We'll go over our pricing, packaging, our patient conversations. These may not be all the same for everybody. Where our price point is what we're really happy with. And I'll go over some mistakes we made in the beginning when we first started this process. And then we're going to go over the marketing that has worked for us, and it's worked for everything as far as not just Shockwave. It's worked for lasers. It's worked for all the things we do in our office. I did add a little blurb because I'm excited about this. We just started using Cherry financing. So it's adjacent to, what is it called? Care Credit, except it's a soft credit check. Your office staff doesn't have to do anything. The patient scans a QR code. It's pretty neat. And I just think it's going to help patients say yes. And then at the end, that's when we're all talking. You guys can answer your questions, and Liz and Tim can really be helpful in that as well. Of course, if you don't know what extracorporeal shockwave therapy is, it is a non-invasive treatment. So it lives somewhere between your basic palliative or conservative care and your surgical care. And what it is, it's acoustic energy that goes into the tissue and it stimulates your body's own healing potential. But when you're talking to a patient, sometimes patients have no idea what the heck you're talking about. And I like this dropping a pebble into still water. The pebble makes the wave. That pressure wave goes out from the epicenter out further. And what that's doing is exactly the same, except the acoustic waves that are formed with soft wave or extracorporeal shockwave therapy, they're just traveling at the speed of sound. And you want to be able to explain what extracorporeal shockwave therapy is to your patient, but you got to keep it simple. As far as when I first started looking at shockwave, I was confused because there were videos and doctors I talked to who use radial pressure shockwave, focus shockwave, and then what the soft wave is, which is the broad focus shockwave. The radial pressure is, I liken it to, and I think the best analogy I've heard is to a sprinkler. So when you take a sprinkler and imagine this is the grass, but the upside down in, what's that show, Stranger Things. So you're in the upside down, the sprinkler's upside down, and most of the energy is exerted. The best energy is exerted right closest to the skin and the soft tissue right underneath the skin. And it's just like a sprinkler. When this water flows out, it gets weaker. It's not as hard. And that the strength at what it's hitting is less. So with radial pressure wave, one of the things I will say, and I don't want to poop on anybody's parade, if you have a radial pressure wave device and you're getting great results with that, great. But what I've read and what I've looked at is that the actual depth that you're going to actually be able to achieve some therapeutic benefits is about 3 centimeters. As far as the amount of surface that's actually covered is about 2 by 2. So it's not a huge surface. So like a sprinkler, you may have to move it around a little bit more. So this device might take a little bit longer. And it may not be as effective, but I'm not saying that because I don't want to get anybody upset. As far as focus shockwave, I've heard that focus shockwave really described more like a laser pointer. So it's convergent waveforms that all converge into one spot. And it's great. It's very effective. It can go 12 centimeters deep, but the spot that it affects is a 1 by 1 centimeter. So when I saw this, and I made this slide, I'm very proud of this slide, but I did have Claude's help. But it really helped me even understand more about how these devices work. But again, because it's a 1 centimeter size that you're treating, you may need to move that along more. So you may need more time to treat with the patient. I'm not saying it's bad. This is a form of true extracorporeal shockwave therapy. And then we go to the basically broad focused, and that would be the Shockwave TRT, because of the physics of the way a spark goes off. And Liz, you can chime in too, but when the spark goes off in the little chamber, there's a kind of a metal reflector on the inside. That reflection goes back down, and it's about a 7 centimeter. It's a larger amount of surface covered going straight down for about 12 centimeters. So for us, when we were looking at these devices, we're like, hey, we really like that. It idiot proved it for us, because you're like, wow, even if I miss the exact location, I might hit it. And so this was a big factor for us when we were looking at these. The focus shockwave and the broad focus shockwave price range were very similar. I know that one of the benefits for podiatrists with radial pressure wave is that the buy-in is less expensive. But I don't know, for us therapeutically, we went for the shockwave for the extracorporeal shockwave going to soft wave for that reason. If you are not in this regenerative space, if you're not more familiar with how this works, I wanted to have a little slide on mechanotransduction, but I didn't want to have a crazy diagram. So I did swipe this off of the Shockwave site. And in the background here, you guys can see that there is the transducer that's creating the acoustic wave. When that acoustic wave goes into the tissue, something really neat happens. It's called mechanotransduction. And you can see, I love this, it has the little unhealthy cells. And what's happening is that physical phase creates a chemical phase in the patient's body. It creates cell signaling and pathways that then start to have biological phases that kick in. You start to get collagen synthesis, angiogenesis. This is a video I have playing in my office, so patients can be like, what is that? I want to see that. Can that help me? And the best thing is too, it doesn't hurt your good tissue. It only targets. And then this is a true form of regenerative medicine. It helps the cells regenerate, get healthy again without damaging anything. I think it's just a powerful tool. We've only had this for a year and we love it. The Shockwave TRT, and this is to nerd out a little bit. I love this video. You know, what happens is once we hit that little button, the shock happens, the bubble happens in the chamber, that acoustic wave hits the patient's skin. But this is the metal reflector I was talking about. Instead of being a focal laser point, this is like a floodlight. And it's hitting all of the tissue. It's hitting superficial, it's hitting deep. It's just phenomenal. And you're getting stem cell activation and remodeling. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. So this is Dr. Henney performing the Shockwave TRT on a patient with plantar fasciitis. And what's happening over here in this picture is happening over here in the patient's tissue. When we do this, and we do this in the office, typically, this is not a super painful procedure for patients. They don't need anesthesia like the olden days back in 1991. And what we do is we find the point of their maximum pain. We hold it over that spot, and we don't want the patient to be 10 out of 10. We have them at about a 5 out of 10 on the pain scale. And it's incredible because we say, all right, we're going to hold this here until your pain goes down. And patients like, oh, it's never going to go down. And they're like, oh, it's a 4, it's a 3, it's a 2. And then once we've gotten that area pretty well, we just take little micro motions and go around. And then for things like plantar fasciitis, I'll do the whole bottom of the foot, even though they might just have that pinpoint tenderness, and also go along the Achilles. I want to make sure that in those 6 treatments that they're getting profoundly better and healing.
Okay, we have a question. I'm going to jump in really quick. The question is, what are you treating that is 12 centimeters deep? What are you needs that?
No, and that's a great question. And because we see patients for all kinds of things, right? Below the knee. We have done some knees as well. We have an orthopedic surgeon in our town that he actually comes into our office 1/2 day a week. He does some stem cell stuff, and he also refers people for the knees for us as well, because we can do up to soft tissue to the hip in our state. I don't know what it is in other people's states, but and like deeper tissue stuff. Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to have it just, and I know the argument because your plantar fascia is not that deep. Yeah, and I'm not arguing against one device or another, but this is the reason we
But
chose
medial lateral
Shockwave.
subtalar joint is pretty deep. Your ankle anterior to posterior is pretty deep. You get all the way through. That's the benefit.
And
You don't have to go all the way around the thing.
And yeah, no, and I think it's a great question. I think for us, we wanted to be able to do, if we were going to spend that kind of money, we wanted to be able to do all the things it could do. So I think it's a great question, but for us, that is why we did it. For our patients, I wanted to give like our basic treatment protocols and how we guide through. This is what the Shockwave machine looks like. It's digitally and you press, and this here is the energy level. Next is the hertz, which is the pace at which, oh, I didn't fix my one thing, Liz. Anyway, so the pace at which it's sparking, and then the amount of shock. So you set this all prior to seeing the patient. Like when the patient came in for plantar fasciitis, say they're a new patient, I will set the Shockwave machine at 1,500 shocks. And the hertz I set usually between 3.5 and 4. And I try to get them up to about a 9 energy level. And then that's that first treatment setting for almost all of my itises. When they come back for treatments 2 for 3, I usually set the machine at 1,000 shocks. I know that we've read throughout the literature and we've watched a lot of good lectures where people have said that 5,000 shocks is the magic number. But not in one setting. You do it over a period of time. So you're letting those cells do the thing, and then they come back a week later and do it again. We do have some athletes we see, or people who have a timeline when they want to be better a little bit quicker, or force that a little bit quicker for them. Those patients we can do twice a week, some of our athletes and stuff. But treatments 2 through 3, usually we set it at 1,000. And the energy 9, if they can tolerate that. And if they're doing great at 9, then we move it up. I've never put anybody at 16, but also that probably is for deeper tissue. If the patient is really a lot better by that 4th treatment, I'll do the 500 shocks. And then sometimes I add the class 4 laser, not Azer, for the last 4 to 6 treatments. It's very important to me that I use, and Dr. Henney uses the visual analog scale for every patient, and I do it every visit. The reason I do that, it's proof of concept for us, but it's also proof of concept for the patient, because they get to see, oh, wow, yeah, I was 8 out of 10, now I'm a 6. And then a week later, now I'm a 4. And you get to see it in action. And it also gives you confidence as you're providing the service that, hey, it really works. Now, if the patient's meh, they're not doing a whole lot better by that 4th treatment, I set the Shockwave to 1,000. I don't dial it back to the 500. I try to crank up that energy level so that they can tolerate. And I also do the laser. I do that because I want the patients to be successful. It just makes me really happy when patients come out better. So this is why we chose a Shockwave. And I'm just going to go over some of these just pretty briefly. When you're using true Shockwave, so that's more of the focused and the broad focused, you are going to get that true stem cell activation. So it's not just physical in nature. I like the larger zone. I like that. And maybe the point of the depth is not as important as the point of the width of what you can treat with this device, because with the other ones, you've got a 1 by 1 centimeter or 2 by 2 centimeter. So you do have to move that device around a little bit more. So it is going to take longer for the treatment time. As far as Shockwave and the company itself does have device specific literature. And I think that's good, so that it's proof of concept for that particular machine. The workflow is great. If a patient comes in on the same day they want to do Shockwave, I can do it. It's a 5 to 10 minute situation. So it's not a big deal. This says no gel, but I use gel. It is a real cash pay revenue for your office, and people are looking for it. Can you read that for me? Somebody's trying to get in or something. But a lot of people are looking for the services. I'll mention this later again, but chiropractors are beating the snot out of us right now with this device and just boldly marketing plantar fasciitis and Achilles tendonitis like crazy, because not enough podiatrists are using this technology and it works. And then the other thing is, I did mention in one of the groups I'm in that we were doing this webinar, and I got beat up a little bit because I did say there is an experimental code for Medicare, and we have experimented. I do not think that is a fair thing for a doctor to bill an experiment. It's not fair to the doctor or the practice to have this great device and experiment. So we did, because we used it on 4 wound care patients that wound up doing phenomenal. And we did do it on a couple patients with neuropathy that had improvement, but we just experimented very small scale because I don't want to pay Medicare millions of dollars back. But we did get paid. I'm not advocating for that because I think until it's a real code, have the patient sign an ABN or don't perform the service. We get a lot of patient referrals from this as well. Another reason we chose the Shockwave platform had a lot to do with it has great support. It has a whole Kajabi course with videos and then lots of stuff to educate yourself, but tons of marketing. There's Facebook ads and what to put on. So I just think it's really a great company. But I'm not kissing Liz's butt. I just really like the company. As far as another Facebook group, I had mentioned that I have a 3D printing custom foot orthotic group for podiatrists. I am a super nerd and I really enjoy that. But also it is one of the things that makes sometimes our packages more valuable for patients because it doesn't cost us a lot to do the orthotic piece when you're doing it in-house, and it adds so much more value to the patient's experience. So I shared on the Facebook group that, hey, listen, guys, we charge this. And I shared, I'm very open with what we charge. And a guy said, hey, you shouldn't do that because what if the patient doesn't get better? I never said I guarantee the patient that they're going to be how we manage patients' expectations. As we say, we have your traditional conservative care, which everybody gets offered. Now, some people come to us because they're searching out these different types of modalities, but if somebody comes to us and we say, hey, this is what we do for plantar fasciitis, we do stretching, icing, we put you on a medral dose pack, we could give you a shot. That's the traditional route. Then when people don't get better, we have this now midpoint. So we have surgery, conservative, and somewhere in between there is that regenerative medicine piece. And with the regenerative medicine piece, I say to people, I'll use insertional Achilles tendonitis as an example. Shockwave works fantastic for insertional Achilles tendonitis. Like, I'll never do surgery. I'll never say never, but with insertional Achilles tendonitis, how you manage the patient's expectation is you say, if they've failed conservative care, we have this option that's before surgery. It's 6 treatments, and I might be able to get you anywhere from 60 to 80% better from where you are right now. So you can't walk with your grandkids around Disney. We live near Disney. Or you can't ride a bike anymore. And you want to, if you get to that 60 or 80%, which I don't know that surgery can always guarantee that either. You don't have to have any downtime. There's no shots. There's no deductibles from your insurance. You're just paying us. So I think managing the patient's expectations is huge for sure. But we don't guarantee, we're not the Music Man, we're not PT Barnum, this is not a circus over here. We give people viable options. And I actually talked to the guy who said that, and we kind of chatted back and forth. And I told him, no, we don't give that this is a magic wand. It sometimes feels like it, but we don't say that to patients. I wanted to give an example. I wanted to give an example of one of the treatment plans that we have in our office. And I did want to share with you guys what we price this at. And it's plug and play. Everything here on the left, patients, we don't itemize. We don't say, hey, you are going to get this and this costs this much, and you're going to get this. We say, when indicated, we might use laser. And that's that indication where, okay, they're not getting better, or they're getting better. They really don't need 1,000 shocks. We'll do the 500 with the laser. We add the custom orthotics. For example, this is our plantar fasciitis treatment plan. We add the custom orthotics because we can. It cost me like $28 to do. And then sometimes we add, but these are all plug and play. We can enter these or exit any of them, but everybody leaves, whether they're going to get it done that day or they're interested, or they don't even know they're interested yet. They have plantar fasciitis. We're going to do the traditional. They leave with our treatment sheet. And I'll show you what that looks like in real time. If you are in the Independent Podiatrist Network, our Facebook group, I've uploaded all of these files so you can download it and you can actually change out and plug and play, change your prices. But I do put on that it's an investment in your care. And for 6 treatments, we charge the $1,577, and I might include the orthotics, or I might include the laser. I'm selling care is what I'm really selling. I'm selling them better. And doctors aren't always comfortable with that term selling, but it is to a certain extent. And then if they want to go pay as they go, it's $300 a session. What I will say is our patients that do the upfront, they do better, because some patients, you might want to be tempted to be like, all right, I'll just say $300 a session. What happens is if people get better after 1, and then they get better after the second one. Like, maybe I don't need 4 or 6, and people do better with the comprehensive plan. And because we've seen both happen, when people pay for the treatment up front, they wind up buying into the treatment more too. They do the stretching, they do all the things that come in our little treatment sheet, and their outcomes are better because they keep with all their appointments. They set them all up that one day. As far as I did want to go over marketing and what's working for us, and I think what really does work, but I'm going to go over each one of these examples in a little bit more detail. I did want to say we started using a marketing company, and they email, this is kind of sad. Like, we pay them a lot of money. This is really free to do. If you are not doing this and you have the capability through your electronic medical record to send out little cute emails, and I'll show you an example of what they do. They do our Google, but they even encourage us not to spend a lot of money on Google because it's changing so much with AI. So you don't want to dump a ton of money into that. And I can say whatever they're saying is working because we're doing better now. We have a lot of regenerative medicine in this space as well. And then like the treatment packages and handouts. I skipped over here. I listen to a lot of different podcasts that are podiatry related. And this seems to be an overwhelming thing that podcasters that are in the podiatry space will encourage other doctors to do, other podiatrists to do. I just don't think we live in an age where this actually exists anymore, at least in my town. So where we have 2 health systems, and they refer within the health system. And then if you want to go to an independent primary care doctor, those guys are like starving artists to a certain extent. If we go to reach out to them, they're not sending us stuff until they screw it up. And that's just honest in our market. So this, I don't pay a lot of attention to. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
We have a friend, she's brand new in town because she left her group and now she's working for a big orthopedic group. She's a podiatrist, and that orthopedic group is associated with a hospital near us. She will be exactly in town a month. I guarantee she gets way more referrals, and she's leaving her a month because it's part of the hospital system. So I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I did want to say this is a video that we have. This is the first point of contact. Patients come into our office. This is playing on the TV in the waiting room. Patients go into the treatment room. This is playing on, we have 7 TVs. We have 7 treatment rooms. I was at a conference. I met Twee Ho Ellsworth, and she gave me that. She's, oh, well, you have it in your waiting room. You should have it in the treatment rooms. I immediately, while I was talking to her, I don't even think I was making eye contact with her. I was like on Amazon. I found 7 TVs and they were each $50. It was crazy because Amazon delivered them on a Sunday in front of our office and nobody stole the TVs. It was incredibly crazy, but that was a great idea. So we have this on loop.
When treating a patient, the provider will begin applying Shockwave, looking for any
giving you so that you can put it on there. But this video goes through, this is my old video. It's 17 minutes. Of course, I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but it goes through Shockwave. It goes through all the stuff we do in our office. We sell product in our office. We never used to spotlight that. And now we have patients that come in and they buy Tolsolin nail fungus gel for their husband. The other thing, like I said, patient testimonials. Chiropractors are kicking our butts in this department. We need to get it right. Podiatrists should be doing this. We should be the kings and queens of treating all foot and ankle. And so chiropractors have tons of patient testimonials. They got patients jumping out of the seat and praise Jesus, I'm better now. I don't think you should do that, but real honest interactions with patients. This is a patient that Dr. Henny saw, and what was his deal?
He came in crutches on a Monday, and Achilles tendonitis. He saw one of the ortho guys in town. They gave him a boot. He put the boot on. He couldn't walk in the boot from Friday, so he shows up on Monday. And the biggest mistake I used to make is I'd say I used it as a alternative to surgery. I said, after 3 months, you're like, we can do it right away. So we showed up on a Monday. I did 1,500 on Monday, came back on a Wednesday. I did 1,000 on Wednesday, did another 1,000 on Friday. By Friday, he was doing really well. I brought him back on the following Monday for the 4th one. He said, I'm pain free. I actually went jogging this weekend. It's doing great. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just laser you because you don't need any more shockwaves. He came back for one more laser like a week later, and it's been 3 weeks. I haven't seen him since. He's doing great.
Yeah. So I've been having these videos. This is my passion project. I feel like we should all be doing, anybody doing any of the regenerative stuff, but if you're doing Shockwave, if you're doing Softwave, if you have a device that's catching dust in your office, you need to wipe it off and you need to start doing this again. You could help patients for sure. You just got to figure out what your protocols are, but make sure you get the right consents when you're doing patient testimonials and then share it on everything. This is what I was going to say about the little emails. If you have the capacity, our old software for our electronic medical record, we used to have the capability for this. I just didn't have the wherewithal internally to do this every week. And so our marketing company does this. and it is phenomenal. What they do is they send an email out. I had them start sending them to me because I had patients coming in the office on a Monday. Oh, Dr. McGowan, how was your vacation at the beach? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And it was, they make up these little stories. I think they must be trolling my social media because they'll say, hey, I saw you went on an RV trip. And I'm like, what? Like the actual marketing company. I think they have AI reading all of our stuff, but there's always a call to action that goes to something that's greater. And it's not, you diabetic and do you need your toenails cut? No, it's, oh, do you need custom foot orthotics? Check this out. You should be doing like this. And then it goes back to your website and maybe to something they download. This is golden. I did want to mention before we go into like question and answers and stuff, I have no financial affiliation with Cherry Financing. We just started with this 2 days ago, but I just think this is going to be a way to help our patients say yes to the higher ticket treatment options. And what I like about this is the patient does everything on their own. They just scan a little QR code with their phone. They go through a 60-second little application fee. It's a soft credit check, so it does not affect their credit score or anything like that. But the best part is you get paid up front. And then the patient works out that whether they decide to do it in 3 months. And that's one of the bigger things with that $1,577 price point. What we notice is patients will say, can I pay it in 3 payments? When you become the financer, it becomes different because they might come back and say, I'm better after 2 treatments, so I'm never coming back. And that's okay. But they get screwed on that because then they paid us $1,000 for 2 treatments. But I just don't want that on my hands. I don't want to be a personal debtor. So I will let you guys know if you guys are in the Independent Podiatrist Network or if you listen to Podiatry Unfiltered, I'll let you know how this journey goes. If you're going to set up Shockwave in your practice, this is what we chose. Shockwave treatment, as far as workflow integration, we have 1 machine. And so there's two of us in our practice. So we have Shockwaves, the color of the appointment is brown. So our staff doesn't book it. This should really be a white glove service. So I feel like we want to make sure the patients are not waiting an hour in our waiting room. They paid all this money. Let's get them in. Let's get it done. In who performs the treatment? I know in other podiatrist practices, lots of times they'll have an MA or whatever. Our practice, we are really going more into that space where we're more cash pay, but we do accept insurances. But this type of service, we do it. But it's fine if you train your staff. I'm sure that's absolutely fine. As far as charting, I can share with you guys my consents, my ABNs, and the consent we use for videos. We're going to have Liz, who's definitely a product specialist on this, talk about it a little bit more as well and answer questions because I definitely am not a product specialist. Monkey who operates the machine is, oh, it works. As far as tracking, I will say, if there's one thing you're going to do, if you're going to go into any of the regenerative medicine space, track your outcomes, use the visual analog scale. If I haven't uploaded it into the Independent Podiatrist Network Facebook group, I will, because it's such an easy way for you to gain more confidence with, but also for your patients to look and say, wow, look where I've come. As far as maintenance and return patients, I have Neymar written there. I don't even know if that's how you spell Neymar, but he's a famous soccer player. Our youngest plays soccer, and she's addicted to all the laser. She's addicted to the Shockwave. If she sprains her ankle, she got a Shockwave me. But she showed us a TikTok video, and it was Neymar, and it's 2 days before every game. He always gets shockwaved. And he feels as though that preps him for the game, keeps his ankle strong. I don't know if that's true, but I'd take his money. If that was Neymar, I'd be like, okay, get it, come on in. As far as competitive athletes, we have already started to see this. We saw the cross country athletes. So in Florida, cross country is it's the spring. Fall is when cross country is. And then spring is when track is. So we did a bunch of cross country athletes and it was all word of mouth for shin splints. And now we're seeing them back, the distance runners, for track season. And they're happy. They want to get back to doing their activity.
No downtime.
No downtime. They're able to get shockwaved and 2 days later run their race. The one expectation that we definitely let people know, like for the tendon stuff, yeah, we can get them close to 80% better. We can get them close to 100% better. But the arthritis patients, we let them know we're just managing it. We're going to do an orthotic to help control some motion, help control that. But setting up Shockwave in your practice is not that big of a deal. As far as how you place it in the practice, you may need to change how you schedule patients. Some of the takeaways, not all the Shockwave is identical. So you really want to know what you're getting. For us, to the question of why do you need 12 centimeters deep? For me, it was more the 7 centimeters across. If you're not in the regenerative space for anything, the cellular cascades that are produced from these acoustic waves, it's real. So do your research, look up articles on the Shockwave Kajabi learning site. there's tons of real peer-reviewed literature for extracorporeal shockwave therapy. But as far as I wanted to show you guys this video, because this is old school from 1991. I'm just going to fast forward. When I first started, this was the device that when I came out of my residency in 2002, you could rent this device and go to a surgery center, and you'd have to have anesthesia. You see the patient here later with her anesthesia, and the doctor's all
On the day of
scrubbed up.
treatment, first,
Don't really be
palpate the
scrubbed up
foot.
for this. Had to wear headphones. It's how far we've come. This technology
Anesthesia
you
is
can do in your office. So I think it's incredible technology, and I am just really excited. If I'd like to go on to kind of the question and answer. I tried to keep it close to a half hour. Is everybody still awake? I guess it's probably.
You did great. I think we still have everybody here too.
Should I stop sharing my screen so I can just go to the question and answer thing?
Yes, we've got one open question from Jennifer Swan. She asked, who are you using for your marketing that's doing the outreach?
Okay. So I use Lorcan O'Donnelly. He's out of Ireland. I know that sounds crazy. And then locally, not locally, but in the US or Canada, there's also like Jim McDaniel. I talked to both those guys. I'm the type of person, I am very loyal. I talked to Lorcan first. I was like, I like that guy. I talked to Jim after, and I was like, it's weird he's in Ireland, but he's pretty darn good, and it's a nice company. That's also who I use, because people probably were asking as far as, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry about that, guys. Senior moment. Any other questions? Should I unmute people to see if people want to just chime in and talk? I don't.
Unmute all, or
What do you think, Liz?
I would not unmute all. We do have a question from Dr. Graham. Dr. Graham, hello. Thank you for being here. We saw him at SAM, right? Yes, we talked to him at SAM. Have you dealt with patients attempting to get insurance coverage after signing an ABN?
yes.
Yes, for
Yeah, all
sure.
the time.
We've had that happen. ABN and we do a good faith, and I can share that in our group. We do a good faith estimate. We explain to patients, and ABN is your Medicare patient, right? But talk about all the others. You have all these other patients, so they don't need an ABN if they're not Medicare. So you don't have to worry about that. But what you should have for all your patients is you should have a good faith estimate. So I can also share copies of that for anybody that's interested. You can email me. My email address is anklefootcare@gmail.com. There's probably a way for me to send out as a Google Drive for everybody that's in attendance. If you don't want it, just delete it. I have everybody sign a good faith estimate. I let them know it's not covered by their insurance. And if we had a guy, no lie, great question. We had a guy who Tim did Shockwave. No, Tim did Liposana. He did Liposana and orthotics on him. His insurance did not cover either one of those products. The guy did a 3-way call with his insurance, and he literally was like, I want to bill it to my insurance. You already signed the good faith estimate. You signed the consent. The guy was like, yeah, no, but I'd be in a wheelchair if it wasn't for Dr. Henney. And it's okay. So it worked, and we're not, we have the little piece of paper that says you agreed to pay it. And he was happy. If you're doing these services and you're doing it right, and you have them sign the appropriate thing, as far as patients, if it's a Medicare patient, like we just tell them straight up, I am not doing an experimental code. That is like me going to Target and saying to Target, I'm going to use an experimental credit card. And patients get it. They're like, oh yeah, like you can't do that. I don't know how much is on this credit card, but let's try this.
Okay, so all these things, the Shockwave, they go, what if my insurance will cover it? I'll make you a deal. You pay me, and I'll give you all the information you want. You can take that information and you can figure out how to get that money out of your insurance company that you signed up for, because we can't. I see 20 people a day. And it's never going to happen, but I'll give you all the information. They're going to say what code you have. I say there is no code that you have for your insurance.
Yeah.
Medicare has this 0101T code. It's a T, means temporary trial, make believe. I don't know. I'm not billing it. But if you think you can get the money for them, go ahead. And if you can talk insurance companies into paying me to do it and guarantee it, I will. But until that day, no, but I'll give you all my paperwork for it.
But yeah, so I think that's a real world issue, and you have to be able to have that. I feel out the patients, and the more you do the Shockwave, I feel like the more you feel out, okay, this is somebody who I'm going to do it on, or no, this person has poor protoplasm all over their body and I'm not touching it. You start to feel it out. Bunyan King said he uses socialized media, and they're an absolute game changer. I went to one of the regenerative medicine conferences, and Bunyan King, they were, I have to say, even just the follow-up for that group, I would use them too. I think they're out of Canada, maybe. But again, for me, if I met them first, I would have been like, that's sold. I'm going to use you. I think it's worth it. I think marketing is totally worth it, especially it's freed me up in the last year of not doing my own marketing, not doing my own website, started a podcast. We have all these groups that we're collaborating with. I'm happy. There is a question from Jennifer Swan that how much does a Shockwave cost and what type of financing? That is not my deal.
Do you want to share what you paid for yours and how easily you've paid it off, or how easily how
We
easy
do
monthly
one a
payments
month
are?
that pretty much pays for the monthly payment.
Yes. So I absolutely don't remember entirely how much we paid for it. And I don't care because we've made so much money. So there is financing. And like for us,
which we use.
We set our price, we finance the machine, and I would say it's crazy. So the reason we have our price point at that $1,577, because honestly, if we do one Shockwave, it pays for the machine each month. We have days, and I talk about this all the time. We have days where there'll be a Monday where our schedule is like, there's not that many people on the schedule. I'm like, oh, wow, should we sell a kid or a kidney? Like, I'm just like looking at the schedule before the day starts. And all of a sudden, at the end of the day, it's a $10,000 day. And it's because this guy, like, I would say if anybody has questions about how to approach a patient, and I don't know, like patients take to Tim as far as when he describes Shockwave, I'm more of a explain it and second visit. They do it the same day as him. So it's not uncommon for him to have just 5 new patients on the schedule that have come and sought after because they have a chronic problem with their foot or ankle, and they sign up for the Shockwave. It is a game changer for your schedule when you don't have to see 40 people in a day. And I was pissed today because I had 20 people on my schedule and I didn't have time to talk to people. I didn't feel it. And I used to have 40 people on my schedule and I would just run through patients. But you had less patients and you did better, like financially, on what we did for receivables today. I think you have to have time with the patient.
I'll give you my cell phone number if you want to text client questions. I could care less. I love going to work now. I did 20 years of hospital call, cutting off toes, broken ankles and all that stuff. And I was miserable. Now people come back happy. Nobody cursing at me. It's great.
But I don't remember the full price, if I'm being honest, Liz, of our Shockwave. And I don't know if you have that information. I don't mind if you share it. But I would say we easily make at least $25,000 more a month with the Shockwave in our, and that is not like easy. And it may be higher because it is one of the most worthwhile things we added to our practice.
Half a day on Monday before spring break. And we pulled an 11 grand by noon.
Yeah.
In Shockwave.
In just Shockwave.
At that rate, if you're generating $25K a month, you've got it paid off within 3 months. That's it. You've made enough to pay it off within 3 months. Do have a few different models. Just to answer Jennifer Swan's question about pricing and financing, we do have a few different models. I'm happy to talk about that offline and figure out which model is the best fit for your practice. It's all based off volume, but it ranges anywhere between 59,000 and you could purchase like the highest volume unit that the professional sports teams are going for, and that one's closer to 90K. But for financing, all of them are broken down to easy monthly payments where one Shockwave patient a month is going to cover that monthly payment for you. And we've got some really good financing options where you can defer payments for 3 months or 6 months. So basically you could get started $99 a month per month for 6 months, and you're generating enough to pay it off within that 6 months.
For sure. And then Shelly asked about the cherry financing. So the patients don't come with a credit card. It is not a credit card company. It's a patient payment plan. It's just a financing of
they get approved. You get the money within 1 or 2 days, and then they pay it off, whatever they sign up. They sign for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and you pay up to 12 months. I think it's 2.7% interest. It gets decreased, which is better than 0% payment if they don't do it. Yeah. So it's just a little bit, it's 1 more percentage point, but I'd rather pay the 2.7% on the 1577 than receive $0. So it works out pretty good. So I hope that answers that question. Does anybody else have any more questions? Or
looks like I don't have any questions. I typed up some answers for Shelly in there, and she was asking about who the Bunyan King mentioned. It was socialized media.
Yes. Because since we went to that, I'm in their funnel, their marketing funnel, and I get emails from them. And I'm sure that's an excellent company to partner up with as well. As far as if anybody is a podiatrist and you're on Facebook, I would join our independent podiatrist network. I think it's just very collaborative. There are no anonymous posters. I made it really If you want to join, you have to be a podiatrist that's seeing patients. So I've had podiatrists who they're more like consultants and they don't do, I didn't know how to even answer. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have a lot of respect for you, but you have to be somebody who actually sees patients. It'd be okay if you own something and saw patients, but we have no Liz's in there. No people that are, because I want it to be a very collaborative, safe space where we can share information. So it's called Independent Podiatrist Network on Facebook. Let's see.
We do have another question.
So I don't
Hot
look
topic.
at, yeah, this is actually, how do you compare Shockwave results with stem cell treatments? I'm going to tell you on my cascade of what I offer to patients. It's what patients want and what they're comfortable with to a certain extent. So if patients come and I'm like, you're going to stretch, you're going to ice, you're going to do this, but patients are like, hey, I've had plantar fasciitis for 6 months and it's not getting better. They may say, hey, what else do you have to offer? I present both of those options to patients. So it's not me who's like the decider of that. Results, they vary on everything. The best part is we do both of those.
So we have DPMX.
We have DPMX.
It's on all our handouts. They get that on there.
Yeah, we order about, we order DPMX in 11 at a time. Like we use that in our office. I doing Shockwave first.
The problem with the DPMX is they pay $1,000, and if they're not happy, one and done, there's no backup plan. With Shockwave, 90% of the time they're happy within a month or two. Worst case scenario, you see them more. Number one. Number two, the most important thing I tell people is you're not paying just for the Shockwave. Half of what you're paying for is Shockwave, but half of it is after I see you 5, 6, 7, 8 times, we actually get to the root of the cause. We have a conversation. I teach you how to not make it come back. If we come in, you give you a stem cell shot and you heal up, the number one question to ask people is, why do you have plantar fasciitis? And I'm telling you right now, the number one answer is, I don't know. So if you just give them a one shot and done, when it comes back in 6 months, they're all PO'd. But when you see them 5 or 6 times, you do the Shockwave, you get it down. The whole 5 minutes you're talking about, what about this? What kind of shoes you're wearing? You actually figure out how to keep it from coming back. And they really appreciate it.
But I do feel like it's like a continuum. I feel like Shockwave is still more on that more conservative side. And then if they don't, we let them know, these are all the things we have to offer. And if we're doing better, but we're not quite there, and like, instead of getting to 60 to 80 to 90% better, maybe you got to 60% better and we want more, then we can add and incorporate. Now, some people, they'll package it all. Maybe you use a higher number when you package that. I don't do that. If I have a lot of confidence in Shockwave. So if people don't get better, I'm looking at, then we need a higher powered punch. Then I'll add the stem cells.
Yeah, I had a professional karate guy or taekwondo guy who someone hurt his ankle like 3 weeks for a competition. So he came in, I Shockwave, he wanted Shockwave, DPMX and everything. So I think I ended up doing, he's 1,000 for this and 15, I'm like, oh, whatever, $2,000 for everything. You make these things up as you go because it's all on the sheet, but you don't necessarily. But he was interested in doing everything he could possibly do because he's getting paid in 3 weeks to do stuff. And it did great. Now, the question is, was it the Shockwave, the DPMX? I don't know, but he
got better. Yeah. And I think that's, every patient's a little bit different, but I think comparison wise, I'm always going to be I'm always on the spectrum, kind of going that I'm on the spectrum.
Yeah. And don't use Shockwave as a alternative to surgery. The biggest mistake I made the first 3 months is I'd say, well, you do this for a couple weeks. If you don't get better, we have this Shockwave thing. And after 3 months, some guys, yeah, but I'm going on a cruise for 3 weeks. I don't have 2 to 3 months to do all the stretching and icing and crap. I need to get better now. I'm like, all right, I'll see you Monday, Wednesday, Friday. See you back on next Friday. See how you do. They're like 80, 90% better. And if you screw it up on your cruise, we can start over again when you get back. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, what do I care? And they're ecstatic to know that you have a backup plan if they go on a cruise. If they mess it up, yeah, come back in, we can do it again.
And I think that's another good point too, is we've learned a lot by patients' timelines, how we can push the limit. And I don't know, like I tell patients, like, yeah, if you have a big race, I have a lady who had pretty bad insertional Achilles tendonitis. And in June, she wants to run 96 miles in 7 days. And I'm like, that's crazy, but it's in Europe. And I need to be 100%, but to be 100% for that and achieve that goal, she needs to be training now and she can't stop training. So she's, what can I do? And we can, and my answer as far as patient expectation, I was like, we could try this. And she's like, all right, let's do it. And I saw her Monday, Friday, the last 3 weeks. By the third, and I let her continue to run.
Exactly.
I let her to continue to run. She did stretching, no icing, no anti-inflammatories. And by the third visit, she's like, it only hurt me on mile 10 on my Sunday run. I saw her last Friday. She was fantastic and she was running higher mileage. With our runners, they can screw it up, and she knows she can screw it up. If she increases her mileage too quickly, she may be back in a couple of weeks and be like, crap, I need to do it again before my race. And she's willing to do that because we set the expectations correctly. So I hope that answers. I think we just ranked.
Yeah, I want to chime in here too. One of the biggest differences, or to compare them, is the instant pain relief that you get with Softwave. So with stem cell injections, with PRP injections, all of these things take time and take time to even be able for the patient to know that it worked for them. Whereas with Softwave, it's a 5-minute treatment and they're walking out of there significantly, their pain has been significantly reduced. So I'd say that's one of the things. I just got back from a conference with regenerative medicine doctors in Pensacola. That was nice. And one of our doctors was presenting, he's been using Softwave for years, and he was talking about two things. So he does, first of all, with PRP injections, with these regenerative, any of these orthobiologics, what that's doing when you do a Softwave treatment in combination with the orthobiologics, Softwave is essentially tilling the soil. It's prepping the tissue to be ready to receive the orthobiologic, and it's going to get even better results when you combine the two. But also what the doctor was telling us at this regenerative medicine conference, he said, when I do PRP injections and 3-4 weeks out, they're not happy with the results, I offer them 2 to 3 Softwave treatments, and then they're thrilled with their results, which my argument was, why didn't you just try the Softwave first?
And that's what I do now. I use the Softwave first, and then if it doesn't work, we have all the kits of PRP. I give it as it's a free backup. I don't tell them initially. If you're not happy, 3-4 up, I'll give you a free PRP kit because I bought all these kits laying around my office anyway. And they look at me like, really? Yeah, it's $1,000 to give you a free one. I think I've done one in a year.
Amazing.
The questions?
The rest of the questions were all praising you, Michelle. That was great.
I know. I said thank you. My head's huge. That's why I'm closer to the camera than Tim.
No, this was fantastic. I think we should definitely do more. Very fantastic.
Yeah, if anybody's interested, I'll just keep sharing on the Independent Podiatrist Network and on my podcast, Podiatry Unfiltered. Shameless plug. So if you guys aren't following me, follow me. But yeah, thank you, Liz, for the opportunity to get together, give everybody some information. I appreciate everybody that attended, and you can always reach out to me. My email address is anklefootcare@gmail.com. Pretty creative. It's really weird when I go to Bath and Body Works and they ask me, hey, what's your email address? I'm like, anklefootcare@gmail.com. I'm a podiatrist. It's not weird. Anyway, thank you, Bunyan King. But yes, so I appreciate you guys all. And then I guess that's a wrap, right?
Yeah, and if you want to, I think you're going to share the recording with everybody that registered and share my information too.
Yes, yeah. I will share with everybody who signed up, even if people couldn't make it in. And I do have to edit it because it'll be my goofiness before if I don't edit it. If I can't figure that out. We didn't say anything too terrible.
It's very charming.
I appreciate you all who were involved. Thank you, Liz. And again, thank you, Rosemary, for seeing my daughter's friend, even though she sat there at the top of my screen. All right, guys, it was a good night. Thank you. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And thanks again, Liz. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.